What's up, jabronis? Mano back here, and today we're talking Grandmaster Nightfalls. On June 22nd, Grandmaster Nightfalls will be unlocked, and it'll be a great time to farm for lots of Ascendant Shards, Adept Nightfall weapons, and exotics. This video is going to be your one-stop shop for getting ready for the Grandmasters for this season, including the best mods to use, the best weapons to bring along, and the best armor choices to make your Grandmasters run super smooth. Grandmaster Nightfalls are endgame strikes that are incredibly difficult for most fire teams. The difficulty has been ramped up, the power level has been adjusted, as well as the addition of tons of champions and really beefy bosses. To access the Grandmaster Nightfall playlist, you'll need to be 1335 power. That's the combination of weapons and armor plus your artifact power level. Grandmasters are locked to this 1335 power, so there's no reason to power up past that. If you need farming tips for XP to raise your power level, check out my XP and corrupted key video farm in the top right-hand corner right meow. Let's talk about why you want to do Grandmasters in the first place. You get the shot at getting lots of Ascendant Shards as well as enhancement prisms to buff up your armor. But most importantly, you get the chance to get the Adept version of the Nightfall exclusive weapons. For this season, we have 3 new ones. The Plug 1 is a fusion rifle that has the ability to roll Reservoir Burst, one of the most coveted fusion rifle perks in the game. The Hung Jury Scout Rifle is the only non-raid legendary weapon that can roll with Firefly, the best ad clearing perk in the game. It can also run with Box Breathing, which could potentially be a really strong PvP perk if scouts are ever buffed in a significant way. The Azumi Sniper is becoming a favorite in the PvP community, but also having the ability to roll with triple tap and high impact reserves is amazing in PvE. These are fantastic weapons to farm, and with their ability to also enable the Adept mods, these are pieces of gear you are going to want. Starting on July 13th, the Nightfall reward rotation is going to enter a 4-week cycle. Week 1 is going to grant the Plug 1 Fusion, with Week 2 granting the Hung Jury Scout, and Week 3 will grant the Azumi RR4. Week 4 in the rotation will then feature Shadow Price, the Palindrome, and the Swarm from previous seasons as potential rewards. As we check the Conqueror seal from this season's triumphs, you can see the available GMs that we're going to have to beat this season. The 6 GMs and their order for this season are the Glassway, Fallen Saber, the Insight Terminus, the Inverted Spire, Warden of Nothing, and the Disgraced. I'll have a guide for each one of these each week, so make sure you get subscribed, turn on the bell so you don't miss any of the Grandmaster guides. In addition, all featured strikes will be available through a Grandmaster Nightfall node starting on August 3rd. At that point, the catch-up node will be available throughout the end of the season. Let's talk about how you're going to knock out these challenges. You're going to need a mix of Unstoppable, Anti-Barrier, and Overload mods from the artifact, as champions are going to be the main strategic component of the Grandmasters. This season, we have some unique mods that can help out with knocking out the champions. Each season, the artifact changes, so old strategies may or may not necessarily work. Let's talk about how to beat anti-barrier champions. For my money, anti-barrier Scout is a must-have this season. While anti-barrier auto rifles are a lot of fun, it's tough to use against very high-powered enemies because of how much you're going to be exposed trying to whittle down the shield. Having anti-barrier scouts to me in Grandmasters is the only choice because of their ability to keep things at a distance, as well as keeping your characters safe while under fire. There's 2 options for overload weapons. You can definitely run SMGs, especially if we're running an Ikelos SMG or the 7th Seraph SMG, so you can make some type of a Warmind build. But hand cannons give you the range option, especially if they have explosive rounds. There's also some great additional mods you can run against some of the champions built into grenades and melee abilities. If you're running any kind of an arc subclass, you can unlock surge detonators for stunning overload champions with your grenades. This works especially well if you're running the Thunder Crash Titan or Chaos Reach Warlock. We're going to talk more about those subclass choices later on in the video. If you're running a hunter, a great choice for stunning champions is the Unstoppable Schwarzschild Condenser mod. Who who names these anyway? Anywho, the nice thing about this ability is that if you have dodge and visibility, which you're often using as a hunter, you can easily generate melee smoke bombs to easily stun champions over and over throughout the strike and do it safely. Many of the mods this season have to do with grenade launchers, and leaning into their use this season is going to be huge. We're going to go over the best grenade launchers to use in just a second. The two mods you want to make sure that you have is the Breach and Clear mod, as well as the Unstoppable Grenade Launcher mod. Breach and Clear gives you the ability to use a grenade launcher when you damage a boss, damage a champion, or break a combatant's shield. It will not only reload your stowed weapons, but it will cause the combatant to take increased damage for a short duration. It's an incredibly powerful mod, and it's one you should definitely have on your characters at all times. Rocket launchers could also be a good choice this season with Argent Ordnance, but you also want to make sure that you plan to make sure you can generate some ammunition using any type of combination of Aeon Swifts on your character. Now that we've talked about mods, let's talk about the best weapons to bring in. For anti-barriers, you want to make sure you bring in a scout rifle, and the best you can bring right now is the Night Watch. The weapon is so versatile, especially if it has explosive rounds. It's also easily farmable as it's a world drop, so it's easy to farm from different places while farming pinnacles or other gear dropping activities. Another choice in the exotic slot is the Ariana's Vow, which has anti-barrier as an intrinsic perk. It does cost an exotic cipher and it uses up an exotic slot, but it's really a versatile weapon that you can bring into Grandmasters. Let's talk about other burst damage and unstoppable. Like I said earlier, grenade launchers are going to be some of the best choices you bring in this season. Undoubtedly, the best heavy weapon in the game is going to be Anarchy. With Breach and Clear, the Unstoppable mod, and the ability to do damage while in cover, it is going to be the best choice for Grandmasters this entire season. However, I do know that a lot of people attempting this endgame content don't necessarily have this, since it's only available for the exotic kiosk, and you need to make sure that you have a full stack of Spoils of Conquest. Make sure to check out my video on how to farm Spoils of Conquest very quickly at the Templar portion of the Vault of Glass raid. Another great choice, if you're not able to do that, is the Wither Horde grenade launcher, which can be purchased for just an exotic cipher. Another ability for legendary grenade launchers is the ability to roll blinding grenades. Because of the aggressiveness of enemies in Grandmasters, it is very, very strong. You can use them on aggressive enemies like wyverns in the Glassway strike, which can be a huge negative in that particular strike. Being able to essentially stop enemies in their tracks so you can kill them or stop their fire, it will help so much in making Grandmasters smoother. There's also a ton to farm this season, like the Ignition Code and the Kinetic slot from the Override activity, the Solar Empty Burden from strikes this season, the Void Truth Teller, which can be found as a world drop, and if you still have it in your inventory, the Arc Salvager's Salvo, which was the featured weapon last season. There's a couple of legendary weapons that definitely need some mentioning if you're preparing to do this. Definitely make sure you check out the Ikelos SMG or the 7th Seraph SMG. If you're looking for an LMG to use, the 7th Seraph Saw LMG is very strong, and if you've done the raid, Corrective Measure with Firefly is an amazing choice for clearing ads, especially if you're using something like Izanagi's or Wither Horde in your slot as an exotic. A couple of other exotics to mention are the Deathbringer rocket launcher for those who might not have the other top tier exotics. Xenophage is also a great choice for those people who are running Warmind cell builds because it can actually create Warmind cells from its explosions, from its shots. A couple of weapons to shy away from. Anything that will get you in close range of the enemies is probably not going to be a great choice. I know that this season, Crown Splitter is a popular option for Nightfalls because of its ability to do really crazy damage with the Energy Accelerant mod. This choice should only be used if you are insanely comfortable with a highly aggressive build and you can hold your own. The Lament Exotic Sword is also a great choice for anti-barrier champs, but it's going to put you in a position of risk, so you'll have to make sure you choose wisely when you do this. Now let's talk subclass and armor choices. Titans, you have a few options, but in general, you should either be running the Curus of the Falling Star for taking out big enemies and an aggressive build, or if you're interested, a more defense-oriented mindset, running Ursa Furiosa, especially against high damage burst enemies. While Ward of Dawn is okay for some Grandmasters, most of the time having shields that can regenerate quickly and be up constantly is the best, especially for those folks who want to be defensive. Hammer Titans for ad clear and containment is an okay choice as well, as long as they utilize the bottom tree for sunspots. For Warlocks, even though you're used to using Well of Radiance, I don't always recommend it because oftentimes you can be stuck there, and even then the enemies can kill you. Bosses especially can usually chew through Guardians who are staying in the well, so choosing something that can help your team is usually a better choice. If you are interested in running that build, I would make sure that you are throwing your healing grenades at your teammates as much as possible, as that's really important for that build. For more aggressive builds for Warlocks, I would recommend using Chaos Reach with Geomag stabilizers or some kind of a Devour build on the Void Warlock using either Nazarek, Sin, or the Controverse Hold for lots of grenade damage and super generation. Hunters, you have a couple of choices this season. If you want to run more of a subcourt class, run the Aeon Swift Gauntlets with the Sect of Insight to generate ammo. You can go invis quickly and finish champions safely while your team is reloading. If you are looking for a strategy to keep your team alive and moving quickly past enemies or having a good defense field, use the Omnoculus chest piece, which will help you defend your enemies and boost your health when you are invisible. For quick burst damage, Celestial Nighthawk is always a great choice, and Star Eater Scales, if you can set them up and get the Feast of Light ×8, is going to be great choice, especially if you can debuff enemies and bosses. I hope that some of these points gave you some guidance on how to run your Grandmasters this season, and I hope that you've learned something. If you need help, come check me out live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Manodestra, where we help people with raids, exotic missions, Grandmasters, and more inside of Destiny. If you did learn something and find the video useful, make sure that you leave a like and comment on what helped you out. Not only does it help the YouTube algorithm, it helps other people to find these videos, but it also helps me to improve my content for you. More Destiny and gaming content is on the way, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications as well. Join the community Discord so you can engage with us 24/7. The link for that is in the description box below. As always, good hunting, Guardians. I will see you next time in the universe of Destiny.